Perfect, thanks you, Carrie. Let them double mingle.
Sight and sound.
Hello and welcome to the Miskatonic Playhouse. My name is Steve. I do a little bit of everything around here. Live streams, video production, podcast editing. I wear a lot of hats. But today, I get to wear one of my favorites. As we head back to the Old West for a best-selling scenario called Pilgrim's Hope. I am looking forward to it. So we're going to hand this over to Heather Ashcroft, who is our keeper, our trail boss, whatever title you prefer. Howdy, ma'am.
Howdy. And greetings and welcome to the Miskatonic Playhouse, where, of course, the tentacles work for us and our all blood is certified 100% organic. Tonight, we are going to draw back the curtain on the United States back in 1885, the Wild West of yesteryear in all its dusty and danger-ridden glory. Pilgrim's Hope was written by Jazmin, Ospa, and is available through the Miskatonic repository on DriveThruRPG. So if you like what you see today with this incredible cast that I have been blessed with, you can find it there. A quick trigger warning for all of our viewers. I've already talked to the cast, so they're all aware, but for anyone watching, just in case, this scenario does include some gun and gun violence, some religious fanaticism, and, well, some snakes. We encourage all of our viewers to watch at your own discretion. But before we travel down the dark and lonesome trails, let's meet our cast of brave performers. Cast, please introduce yourself and your character, and let's start with Doc Tracy.
All right, how we doing? I'm Matt Doc Tracy, and I'm playing Robert Paul Gladstone, former soldier in the Union Army. Now I do reenactments of the glory days, the days that we went out there and drove Johnny Rebel back into them hills.
All right. Chris?
Hi, I'm Chris Bates. This is my first time playing on the Miskatonic Playhouse. I've been in the background and been a supporter from the start almost. Today I will be joining you all as José Luiz Hernandez, a Mexican scout from the Civil War period who has now fallen on harder times and is both a gambler and a bit of a drinker.
Thank you, Chris. And on to Brendan.
My name is Brendan Lahey, and it's the first time on the show with you all. We're going to have a good time. I'm playing Samuel Littlefire, a cowboy from the Illinois Nation. We're going to have a good time with him.
Fantastic. Steve, a little bit about you.
And hi again, I'm Steve. You can find me on the socials at Tall Halfling, sometimes Tall Halfling RPG. And today I'm Theo Barkley. She came to the Wild West show with her husband, who was going to be performing, and she ended up training with Annie Oakley and learning some trick shooting and some riding, and now she's part of the show.
All right. And once again, I am ValeyGirl Heather Ashcroft. Generally, you can find me on pretty much almost all the socials except for the one with the big absolute not. But where the skies are blue is especially one of my favorite haunts, and on Discord. So find me there at Heather ValeyGirl or ValeyGirl Designs or any iteration of there. But for tonight, I am Keeper, and I am very lucky to bring all of you on this journey back to the Wild West. And we're going to start as we pull back and look upon us on the dusty and lonesome area of the Wild West of the 1880s. We are going to catch up with the world-famous Buffalo Bill's Wild West Tour, where all of our cast are performers within this motley crew. The tent is filling up, and your ticket is now ready. So, let us begin. It's about an hour before the show begins, and the area is bustling about, people coming in from all over the area, even though you are a few miles out from the nearest town called Pilgrim's Hope. There are barkers with the sideshows. There are ticket salesmen who are calling out. You have your hands that are making last-minute preparations and some repairs to the tent. The horses are being tended and looked after, all their finery being put on. Guns are being polished, shined, and cleaned, and last-minute preparations for costumes are being done. All of you are, again, a part of this preparation and hustle and bustle as a call kind of rings out a little bit for just a moment above all the others. So as through the talking and laughing of children and adults as they file in waiting for this exciting show, you hear over the din sounds of a voice that, doesn't seem to fit amongst all the others. While happiness and excitement seems to be filling the air, it is the sound of warning. Someone yelling. Sounds like they are arguing with some of the stagehands, calling out for people to not be a part of the show, to be warned. You catch words like danger and I can help come through. What do you do?
Well, I think
Sorry, go on, Samuel.
I think I'm getting ready for the show with my horse and all, and I look over at this strange scene behind us. And who is it that's doing this yelling?
So as you peek out from one of your side tents of where you are preparing, you see, and if our lovely Steve would put our Jordan picture up, you will see a gentleman, and he seems to be arguing with some of the stagehands who have stopped what they're doing and pounding down the stakes to make sure that the tent is purely secure, to see this gentleman. He keeps insisting, seemingly very insistent, his body language, trying to get in. He wants to get into the area where the majority of the attendees are shuffling in. And he is being prevented by the fellow stagehands. But I need to. They need this. I need to be able to get in. Please. You don't understand.
I want to stop preparing the horse for my part of the horse race. I want to just drop its reins, and I want to go walking over to see if there's anything I can do to help calm matters down. Whoa, sir! Will you just be quiet? I just need to make sure that we're all calm here.
They don't understand. This place is dangerous. There's if anyone's bitten, they're going to need my help. I'm a doctor. I'm here to help.
And I'm also coming along with José because part of the same act we're preparing together. So, what do you mean, bitten? I don't understand.
Don't you understand? There are the snakes around here are terribly dangerous. There's all sorts of creatures, but these snakes are those. And I have antivenom. I have developed it myself. And he holds up a small vial with a greenish liquid in it. Looks kind of murky. Maybe a few things floating around in it. And he's shaking it almost in front of their faces. Oh, come on now. Get on and get. We got a show to put on. as the barkers try to push him and gather his things and kind of try to shove him out in the direction away from the showgrounds.
Can I try and get one of the barkers to calm down and just walk over and say, how much is the snake oil? I mean, the antivenom.
Oh, it's only a few pennies. I need to make sure this gets out to people, but maybe two bits. It does take some ingredients,
Well, if I give you 3 bits, will you give me 2 of them?
Oh, 3 bits. Well, it does take a lot. Y'all just need to get out. Like sell it or be done with it. You gotta go. And
Pass him the coins.
the gentleman seems to kind of ease up a little bit and stop struggling. And he kind of looks at the formula and he looks at you and, all right, 3 bits, but be careful with it. It's mighty potent.
Oh, don't you worry. I'll be looking after it. I'll take the 2 vials that I've purchased, give him the coins. Are you going to be calm now, sir?
Oh. Just be careful. There's strange things afoot around this area. You just got to be careful about it.
Oh, well, don't you worry, sir. We put the wild in the Wild West show, so we'll look after this. I'll pass Samuel one of the 2 vials. Look, see, we'll even share it out so that it ain't just with one of us. If anything happens, then the bearers can
yes,
to the aid.
Don't you worry. We're going to take this very seriously.
I hope so. All right, now y'all been done your selling. Now you all got to get. Go on now. Get out here. And the barkers start to renew, and as he's basically kind of taken off balance and is summarily, they are able to kind of escort him very directly towards the edge of the ground, the fairgrounds, as you turn and head back, because you realize you start to hear over the sounds of all this, the sounds of the music. The musicians start to play some of the early music to kind of get the audience in, excited and ready for the show. So that's your cue to kind of, you got to get back.
As we're walking back, I take the vial and shove it into one of my pockets. Turn to Jose and... Jose, you don't think that... You don't believe him, do you?
Oh, no, but it got him quiet and it got him out of here, so, show must go on. At that point, I'll slide my vial inside one of the empty bullet loops on my outfit, because I've got a large buffalo rifle, so that it should fit in the same size sort of loop.
Strange fellow.
Yeah. You're an Indian, I'm a Mexican, and we're in a Wild West show. Who are we to comment on how strange somebody is?
All right. So while this is going on, Robert Paul Gladstone, what are you doing?
Making sure my horse is nice and polished up to look good for the show, because we're going to be reenacting them fights among them rebel boys and showing them what for. They tried to come in here, divide our nation up, and we decided to send them packing. So he'll be polishing the coat of his horse, who was named Sunday, after the day that Robert E. Lee surrendered. And he is brushing out the hairs, making sure Sunday is good and fed. He checks his cavalry saber, make sure it's nice and polished. Even though in the heat of battle it wouldn't look that clean, he wants to make sure that with this reenactment, everybody knows that the Union boys were the good ones. After seeing this whole predicament over there with the young man, he'll just scoff and say, "I'm probably selling some kind of Confederate nonsense. Probably worthless."
So you know that, occasionally, especially when you're playing in more towards the Mexico border, that occasionally you'll come across a few that deserters that have been around. So you feel pretty confident on on your message these days.
You
Feel
can
like
just
he should probably
clarify.
be shot.
But you just clarify what part of the country are we in? Like what's like we were in the West, but what states?
So the Wild West in the 1880s extended quite a ways westward from almost the Midwest all the way. You had the prairie states and then all the way towards the West Coast. So you're towards the western kind of somewhere between the Midwest and the actual coastline in that rough space.
Yeah, prairie states.
So yeah, you're still in the prairie states, but this is very rural where you are. The closest town, as you know, is the town of Pilgrim's Hope, and they're a few miles away. So not incredibly far by horse, a little bit longer by walking, but it's close enough. The others, towns kind of dot the landscape. Fairly, no one's close to each other at this point. They're very, very small towns. They barely qualify for towns. Generally, you have a group of houses, a few farms. You probably have, if you're lucky, you have maybe a small store or some kind of, combo of a little bit of everything. You have one building. Generally, most of these little towns have a church or some type of place of worship. And maybe if you're lucky, a one-room schoolhouse, unless the church doubles as that. So the dotting of, that people, when they come to see your show, especially in this stretch of the country, they are very much coming directly to you. They're taking upwards of an hour or two to travel, by wagon or by horse or even just walking to get to your show. So you plan on putting on the absolute best show that you possibly can, because if people are traveling that far to put down their very hard-earned money, you are going to give them the best show possible. Shows like yours are almost essential, because most of these tiny little specks on, of civilization are so few and far between. Most of these places, the theaters and the big shows that we think about are in the bigger cities, and there isn't one anywhere within hours of you. It's almost half a day to a day's travel, easily, to get to the nearest city. Extremely rural. Okay. Theo, Barkley, our gunfighter, what are you doing to prepare?
Well, I've already cleaned my guns very, very carefully. I'm still fairly new to the circuit. Wasn't really my plan to be a performer in the first place, but Annie has a way of getting through to you. So I'm calming my horse under the guise of calming the horse, really trying to deal with some of my nerves, but just talking to her quietly, brushing the mane. We've had at least one creative horse name. She's Mary Todd.
Okay. All right. Well, the show is about to begin, and all final preparations and the music swells from the small band that travels off to the side, playing patriotic songs to stir the attendee spirit and get them ready. And at the appropriate time, Buffalo Bill himself, while So Buffalo Bill Cody, a well-known Western hero, former Indian scout, and all-around patriotic American, bursts into the scene, into the tent in a big way. The guns start firing left and right, boom, 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 as he rides on with no-handed on the back of his famous horse, going around and around within the tent. The whole place erupts into screams and cheers, as following close behind is the very famous Annie Oakley. And then a whole cavalcade, including yourselves, come out one at a time into this massive tent, surrounded on three sides by seating, basically stadium bench seating, as it is a packed house tonight. They have come from far and wide to experience the greatest traveling show in America today. You have all sorts of performers, from cowboys, you have celebrities, you have the Native Americans, you have, there's going to be wild animals performing and trick performances and shooting exhibitions and even the race that have. So it doesn't even just stay right here in this tent. No. It's all through the fairgrounds. This is just the opening act. And as it goes, and he introduces the show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the greatest show on earth. Here we are once again to all of our performances, and we thank you for coming and viewing us, thinking us as important. We hope we entertain you, and, well, enough about me. We'll talk about me later. Let's get on with the show. And more, and everybody and the cavalcade rushes around, showing themselves off, and then everybody exits through the back. Now, of course, we all know that generally in shows like this, the headliners don't come out until later in the evening. So one of you will be kicking off the show. Let's see who is going to be doing it. And I'm going to actually roll randomly to see which one of you is going to kick off the show. So I'm going to start. Doc Tracy, you will be 1. Chris, you will be 2. Brendan, 3. And Steve, 4. Let's see who is going to start us out. And that is a 3. So, Samuel, normally your big performance is actually a race. So there's going to be a cowboy, yourself, and a Native American who are going to be racing your horses actually from the center line out of the tent, and then racing back in to see who gets back first. Are you going to be doing anything? Tell us about your horse.
Sure. My horse is named José, means independent. And riding on the back of José, I come out to the crowd and I give a little flourish of the hat. And I wave out to the crowd of cheering people. They've never seen anything like this. And I whisper into the ear of my horse a few special words in my native language, the Miami tongue. I say, we're gonna win this one, buddy. And I'm ready to go.
Following up behind José will be myself on Felix, who is my horse. I'm always the guy that comes last in this particular race, whether on purpose or whether naturally. I'll lean forward and whisper into Felix's ear, just make it look good, son. Just make it look good. And then I'll sit back and start twirling my buffalo rifle around, just trying to make it look like it's something big and impressive.
Yeah, of course the race is rigged, because of course it is. But I always win because that's what they expect to see. So
Well, this is the way the horses are set up. This is done bareback specifically because they are playing up the Native American aspect of this. This was very popular at the time. So there are the three of you bareback on your horses, and the beautiful and talented Annie Oakley comes out. The crowd goes nuts when she emerges, and she makes a big waving to the crowd and motioning to the horses as you all start to back up at the starting line that is drawn basically by a foot from a stagehand across near where you line up your horses. And then, y'all ready?
I'll make a comedy effort of getting rid of my hat and my poncho and various other garments so that I'm just in my undershirt, and I'll hand over the buffalo rifle as if it's some kind of arcade trinket, and then I'll sort of make it look like I've got a game face on.
Okay. As you do your flourish and everything else, she nods approvingly and then she looks at the audience. Y'all ready for some racing? Because we're about to see who's gonna win. Make your bets now, ladies and gentlemen, because it's about to go on. And help me count it all down now. Ready? 3, 2, 1. And she shoots it right into the air through the tent. And at that, the horses go. They know what they're doing. And they start to race, and they take off full on out the flaps of the tent that have been pulled back wide so that the audience can actually look out and see. At the far end of the fairgrounds, there are 3 barrels that are brightly painted so that in red, white, and blue so that they can be seen. You race down. Of course, each of you know how fast the other is going. And then you turn the barrels and you race back. As you prepare to re-enter the tent, anybody doing any flourishes or anything specific for it?
Yep, I'm way in the lead. And so I've decided to pull out a rope, and I'm doing my cowboy act. And I'm getting ready to lasso a post around the end of the race, just to show off a little bit.
Okay.
Jose Luiz is in last, as is normally the case, and he's going to try and make it so that as soon as he goes into the tent, his horse veers off to the wrong direction so that he can always guarantee that he crosses the line in last place.
Okay. And your third is acts like, because the horse knows all the tricks, pulls off one of their own. And as just before entering the tent, the horse will rear up a bit and he will fall dramatically to the ground as the horse will turn around and trot off around the tent, knowing it's going to go back around where nobody can see them and get a treat. And as you come in, the crowd erupts again into massive cheers and screams and everything as you cross the quote-unquote finish line. Once again, winning the race as you knew, but they didn't. So Annie Oakley goes, wow, wasn't that great? Look at that. Congratulations to our winners. Brendan, she kind of like motions to you to kind of come forward so you can take a bow.
Sure. So I, on my horse, come in, look over the crowd, and I say some triumphant words in my native language. The audience can't understand a word. It doesn't matter. That's not what they're here for. And I take a bow and I give a wave. With that, I trot off stage.
All right. Well, wasn't that fantastic? Let's get to it. Let's keep this going. We got another fantastic show to go on. Let's see who's next. And that is going to be Robert Paul Gladstone, our very own soldier. Now you just watch what he's gonna do. He reenacts. You remember those battles? Well, guess what? We've got ourselves our very own soldier, Union soldier. Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen. Here he is, Robert Paul Gladstone.
And he walks out with uniform very cleanly polished. All the buttons look like they've just been shined atop his horse Sunday. And just on the other side of where we're performing, you see a few gentlemen dressed in those butternut and gray Confederate uniforms starting to charge towards him. And Robert Gladstone rears back. Now, boys, we gotta be ready for them. We don't fire till they're upon us. We must take them on as best we can. Follow me. And he draws his sword, rears back on his horse, and just charges at these three dudes, just very clearly not reenactors, more just people we've thrown uniforms on and said, go, he won't hurt you.
Yeah, they're probably just stagehands and who just, whoever's available at that time.
And we're going to charge towards him with the sword drawn as he pulls out his pistol in his other hand and goes to shoot the hat off of one of them and say, now, be gone, you rebels. We're doing this for the Union. And he starts pulling gun tricks out.
So you get out, and of course, every time you shoot the hat off of one of the quote unquote rebel that are coming at you, and the crowd goes completely crazy, and they're whooping and hollering, and then one tries to charge you with a bayonet, kind of half-heartedly, but he's trying to make a good go of it.
I'll just try to kick him right in the chest. I'll do to you what you try to do to our country and shove you in the dirt.
So there's, you do your struggle, and of course you come out on top of that fight, and the crowd again goes nuts. There's crowds, someone starts a chant of, get them, get them, rebel boys.
I'll wave my saber with a flourish overhead, make a little pass in front of all the audience members. And as I one hand on the saber, the other hand, just take my hat and bow.
So as you mount your horse, one of the stagehands offhand hands you the flag, the U.S. flag at the time. So that as you ride around the inside of the tent, you have that the U.S. flag going and all the pages, and of course the band starts playing, Battle Hymn of the Republic, and just making this big thing, and the crowd's on their feet, they're loving this, it's great. And the stagehands in poorly fitted rebel uniforms kind of slink back out of quietly off stage behind the flap of the tent.
Oh, as they're walking by, I'll give one of them a wink and like a little subtle thumbs up. They've played their part today.
There you go. And you triumphantly, gallop out the back flap on your horse with the flag flying and waving high.
As soon as I'm through that tent, I'm just going to immediately light a cigarette and just, it's a good day in the Union.
Theo, Annie comes up to you and goes, all right, you ready?
Always.
Oh, all right. Now let's show them that us girls know what we're doing even better than them boys because, whatever. All right, let's do this. And she steps through first through the tent flaps. And of course, the crowd is all charged up from the first couple of acts. And she's, they're going nuts. And you step up from behind her and to the side. She looks at you, nods, and both of you kind of go and split to the kind of opposite sides of the show area. And at that point, some of the stagehands bring up some targets, some shooting targets, and places them on either side of each of you. And she brings down her trusty, rifle and lines it up on a target that's like right next to your head. Now, you know this. You guys have practiced forever. And she shoots the target right near your ear, which again, you're used to. You actually probably stuffed with a little bit of wax and cotton in your ears because to try to protect it. It's loud, so you want to be able to hear. She shoots, it shatters, and then it is your turn.
I think I make a show of being horrified, a little bit faint that she's shooting at me. And I pull out my rifle and barely even taking a moment to aim, do the same shot right back across the tent. Now, mind you, by the end of the act, I'm going to have to rein it in a little bit because obviously, Annie Oakley has to be, more amazing than anybody else, but.
So you do shots back and forth a little bit, and just to kind of get the crowd going. After a few shots back and forth to show both of your prowess, you kind of head back towards the where the flap of the tent is, where the stagehands are bringing out this facade that looks like the front of a small house. She has moved towards the front right near the audience and is expounding upon what happens, during, this raid, these bandits that were coming and raiding this house. So she's basically setting the scene as you know what's coming. The stagehands set this facade up, and you quickly put on a dress that just kind of ties in the back. It's more just for look. It's a costume. And at the signal from Annie, you fling open the door to this facade and kind of do the help me, help, as the stagehands start to come out from either side, from around the sides, pretending to be bandits. And Annie then starts coming in and shooting them dead as the guns are switched out, and now there's no longer live rounds in it. You also are able to pick up a gun and pretend to defend your area.
Yeah. Defend my honor. It's the important thing.
And yep.
Yeah, that's the important thing to the audience anyway. Have to maintain appearances. So yeah, it's it's an exciting and climactic, showdown kind of thing, which obviously ends up with Annie one-on-one with the leader of the leader of the Raiders. I've been shot in the shoulder, so I can't participate anymore. And she saves the day, of course.
So as the scene is getting towards what you know is the climactic ending of all this and the confrontation between Annie and the leader of the bandits, a scream rings out from the back of the audience, followed by murmur, which quickly grows to concern, which quickly grows to panic. And the show kind of comes to a grinding halt very quickly as a couple of people, and I'm going to ask you to put up the picture of our Pastor Earl and Obadiah, please. So there is Pastor Earl, a pastor with a fire and brimstone look upon his face, is yelling over the volume is quickly going up on the din of fear and panic. You think at least one woman probably faints as he is holding some kind of book in his hand and shaking it up as he looks over everything, and he is yelling what you quickly understand is a Bible verse. Behold, I give unto you power to tread upon serpents and scorpions, and over the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. Another gentleman next to him is holding a very large sack that you realize is, as he opens it, and he takes the bottom, you realize it's wiggling. And as he flips it over and shakes it out, a mass of green snakes falls out, and they quickly start to slither away through the crowd. Two other men with bandanas across the bottom part of their face, only their eyes showing, also seem to dump out smaller bags full of the writhing green masses of snakes as the snakes scatter down through the tent. The place goes crazy, but instead of excitement, this time it is in fear and panic, and people start running left and right. And we are going to see if by some chance you get bitten. So let's do.
In the meantime, I've quickly swapped out my gun with the blanks for the real one on the other hip.
Okay, so you now have, Annie is now yelling. First she's calling for calm, and then she's calling for her gun as she quickly drops the one with the blanks in it. And a stagehand brings her her actual, her favorite rifle. At this point, things are insane. The rest of you hear the sound of what cheers, and that cheer turns to fear and panic, with screams coming through that definitely they are not cheering on. This is not normal cheering. This is, in fact, not cheering at all. What did the other three of you do?
I was preparing for my show, which would be in the next one up, so I'll be in my full rig with the buffalo rifle, because I was going to be doing a long-range shooting demonstration. So I'm going to come running out the rifle, and if I see any of these snakes wriggling around, I'm going to try and hit or stop them with the butt of the rifle.
Okay.
I'm in the back. I haven't finished my part of the show, so I'm taking care, brushing my horse. When all of a sudden I hear the commotion, so hop up on the back of my horse and start riding through the, onto the stage, into the main tents to figure out what the hell is going on.
Okay. Doc?
I will similarly mount up and try to go around to the back of the stage rather than to the performing area, in an effort to, if there's somebody in there, catch them on the way out, because Sunday's a good horse. They're not going to get away with it when I'm on Sunday.
Okay. All right. So all three of you come in through various tent flaps, and you see attendees scattering like cockroaches in the light. They are running, they are fleeing, they are obviously panicked. You see a couple of them fall over. Give me, let's do spot hiddens for you three. See what
Sure.
you see.
I failed.
I got a 002, so
Wow.
it's a shot.
Whoa.
I was feeling good
So-
about my
Yeah,
hard
see
success.
All right. So Gladstone and Samuel, unfortunately, all you can see are people scattering to the four winds. They are panicking. Some of them are crawling underneath the tent flaps. Some of them are running towards you to try to get out of that area as quickly as they can. And they are kind of trying to, the horses are getting a little spooked because this is not part of the normal routine. They don't know. So you are right now kind of concerned, trying to keep your horses from trampling people who are basically trying to trample through. But Jose Luis, you are able to make it in and find kind of the angle that you're at. You notice these two gentlemen with the bandanas across their face, who seem to be having a quick conversation, and then they turn in tandem and head very deliberately away from the tent. You're not sure where they're headed, but they are headed deliberately out. The preacher is still there yelling over this din, these Bible verses. One of the ones that catches your ear. Let me pull if I can find it. You recognize. And these signs shall follow them that believe. In my name shall they cast out devils. They shall speak in new tongues. They shall take up two serpents. And if they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick and they shall recover. The other gentleman that is with him attempts to... Anybody who's coming at the pastor, he's basically playing bouncer. So you notice that. You also notice something about the snakes themselves. These don't look like any snakes you've seen. You've been with the traveling group for a while. You've seen the scorpions and the snakes and everything else. You know what to look for. You're fairly well seasoned, and you're a scout, so you definitely have that information. And these snakes do not look like anything that you've ever seen before. They're from a distance they look green, but when you get to see one as it slithers past you, you see it's almost kind of gray. It has a small crescent moon on the top of its very flat head, and the body shape is, in your mind, the word almost serpent kind of springs to mind. This doesn't say snake to you. This really almost feels like a serpent, like something out of, a fairy tale or some type of mythology kind of feel to it. And you're pretty sure, knowing what you know as a scout, that you'd be very surprised if this thing wasn't venomous.
I'm going to try and, if I can, use the butt of the rifle to pin one down. See if I can pin it by the head so that it's not moving. Is there any chance that I can do that with maybe a dexterity roll?
Absolutely. I would love for you to do that.
Well, my dexterity is 75 and I've got a 55. So I managed to pin the snake, but whether or not I managed to get it in the right spot, I'll leave to you.
Well, with that roll, you're able to bring the butt of your rifle down, but it's towards the end of the tail portion, which means that the head is still very free and it turns around to try to strike you. Let's see. Ooh, and that is a 6. And it does manage to kind of whip around, and it goes and it fangs, just locks into your boot, which is, what are you wearing on your feet? I'm guessing as a scout, it's probably like leather boots, but you tell me.
Yeah, heavy leather boots, riding boots.
You feel
snake bite proof boots.
Not quite. Thick, but not quite.
Unfortunately, with that roll, you feel a light pinprick of it penetrates the boot. It just sinks in with all of its might and it bites in. So you do feel a pinprick and a little bit of pain, and then your ankle starts to feel cold. And as a scout, you know that feeling of cold is going to grow.
I'm going to immediately try and grab the anti-venom that I was able to put earlier. And I'll take a look at it. I'm not entirely sure if it's going to work or not, but I'll flick the top of the vial open and think, am I meant to inject this or am I meant to just drink it? Oh, what the hell? And just throw it back.
Yeah, you don't really have a way to inject it. So at this point, it's just, you're going to have to you wriggle off the top and you start to drink it. It is foul. It is absolutely foul. Can you give me a con roll, please?
63 over 60, so I want to spend 3 luck to make that a success.
That would probably be a good idea. As you manage to keep the horrendously vile substance down, but you almost feel bowled over with nausea, and you still have this snake stuck to you via your boot. We'll get back to you. Okay. Let's go back to the rest of you. Most of the crowds have scattered through. Doc and Brendan. So Brendan and Robert Paul. Both of you, I think it's your horses. Let's see if you are able to stay on. Both of you gave me dex rolls. Let's see if you're able to stay on top of your horses as your horses really start to... They're definitely starting to freak out. They are starting...
Can we give you an animal handling rule?
Actually, that would be fantastic. That would be great.
Perfect. And I get an 96, which is not a bad, but it is not a success.
As a man of my word, I rolled the dex first and did fumble the dex.
Okay. So let's do this. Samuel, you unfortunately you try to calm your lovely horse down, and that whatever you tried, unfortunately, just absolutely did not work. In fact, it probably made it worse. the horse rears up. Did you make the dex for me, please? Because let's see if you're able to stay on or he is going to tumble you.
Sure. I do succeed on the dex.
Okay, you are managed to cling on, like grasp and hold on to this, but at this point, the horse bolts and starts to just run. It is taking everything you have to stay on your horse for right now. Mm-hmm. You are going to be on that for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Robert Paul Gladstone, your horse whinnies and stamps, and it kind of starts moving back and forth and all over. And unfortunately, your attention is elsewhere and you fall down onto it. In fact, you come as you kind of look up before you can even get up. You are completely prone and look up from getting your face out of the dirt and the sawdust, face to face with a greenish gray snake with, as you can see now, a small crescent on its head as it opens its mouth to its fangs and it comes at you.
Can I try to dodge it?
No. Sorry. But let's see what it does. Make it lucky. It might not hit you.
She says, hoping it hits me.
And with the 72, you are very lucky, Anderson. It lunges. I don't know if a snake can lunge, but it shoots forward towards you as you are able to kind of move it to the side, and it kind of flies back. You can kind of feel it now slithering on your back. What do you do?
I would like to try to grab its head. Because so grab a snake by the tail, it's going to come back and bite you. Grab it by the head. I would hope, if possible, with grabbing this, I want to put my thumb on top of its head and my index finger underneath its mouth. Basically pinch it on its neck.
You're going to try and grab this thing out as it flies past you and try to grab its...
I've been performing with Annie Oakley for some time now. I'd like to think I've picked up a trick or two watching her.
Okay. You know what? I'll allow it. Give me... this is definitely... You're going to go hard to extreme on this one. So right. Yeah.
Would you prefer sleight of hand or dex?
Oh, this has got to be... This is a dex check. You're not... Oh. I mean, this is pure, you're trying to go pure instinct on this to try to grab this thing as it kind of flies past you.
I'm going to spend 2 points of luck to make it a hard success.
Okay. You don't quite get the head in your hand, but you are able to get part of the body, like just below the head.
Just enough that it can't bite me.
You hope. You think you've got it. And you pull it forward. What are you going to do with it now? You are lying prone on your chest on the ground with this snake in your hand as it...
I want to crush its head under my knee.
Okay, it's going to take you a couple minutes to at least get up from being prone.
Oh, no, I'm just laying prone. I want to take the snake and just put it under my knee because getting up would require... If I get up, I'm going to use my boot. But I am already on my stomach, so I'm going to crush it with the closest thing I have to the ground, which is going to be my knees.
Interesting. Okay. So you're going to pull it down. You're going to try and put it near your knee.
I'm down for a luck roll for that.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Give you a roll.
Give me a luck roll because
That's a 25 under 43, so yeah.
Wow. Okay.
You study with Annie Oakley, you learn how to kill snakes with your bare hands.
Okay, so you managed to pull this down and put this under your knee. It's kind of tough. I mean, snakes do have a skeleton underneath all that squishiness.
So I put my weight on that knee, as I'm trying to get up, press that knee first into the dirt.
Okay, and we'll get back to you and see if that works. Theo, what are you doing?
Well, I'm going to assume I didn't see that, because if I did, I'd be wondering why Annie hasn't taught me that one yet. But meanwhile, I think once the first wave of audience members have gotten out of the way, I'm target shooting, basically. And I said in the moment, I'm better with a rifle, but I said in the moment that I pulled a gun from my other hip, so I guess it's a revolver. So I'm taking some shots at the snakes, trying to take some of them down from a safe distance.
Okay. So pretty much you probably do the one tie in the back that keeps this little costume on. You kind of rip it off and throw it because it's annoying and it's in the way. And you whip out your 6 shooters because that's your specialty. And you look around at the targets. Well, targets, the snakes, your targets. And you find a couple of snakes that are slithering through the sawdust and dirt, away from most of the running and panicking attendees that you think are probably fairly safe to try. So go ahead and give me a roll. See, let's firearm.
That is a 49, under for the handgun, 50.
Hey, that's you shoot, and that one of the snakes kind of flops as it gets hit, as its little head kind of explodes from the shot, and it goes dead. The other one, you think, even seems to speed up. It's slithering across the floor. Did you want to take a second shot?
Sure.
Go for it.
That is a 26 under 50. If it'll help, I'll spend 1 point of luck and make that a hard, but a regular took out the first one. So
nope, regular took out the first one. Regular will take out the second one. And again, its head, part of its body kind of explodes a little bit, and it definitely goes limp. So 2 solid shots on there. Give me a spot hidden roll real quick, if you could.
I'd like to think that Annie and I are doing the thing from Lord of the Rings. So that's 2. That's 2 over here. That's 3.
Something like that. But she also seems to, after a few rounds of that, she's still seems to the concern for the panicking.
Yeah.
At first, she seems kind of resistant to doing it because people are panicking and they're running all over the place and everything. But once most of the area clears out, then she kind of starts to get into that as well. But please do make me a spot hidden real quick.
That is a 32 under 53.
Perfect. So as you take out a couple of shots, your eyes happen to be look up over and you see where the fire and brimstone preacher is still doing his thing. And the other gentleman who did not have, the older gentleman who did not have the bandana across his mouth comes back up to him. You didn't realize he had left, but he comes back up and he whispers something or says something to the pastor that you cannot make out. The pastor then lowers and stops. You will all burn in flames. The coming is coming. It is coming. And they turn around and they quickly exit the tent and disappear out into the away.
Are we able to get a shot on them as they're running away? Not lethal, but I'm thinking kneecap.
You're busy trying to crush snakes with your knees.
I have a free hand. You stole dry me. I am prepared.
Well, you have to. The ground itself is dirt with, a thick layer of sawdust down on it. So it's kind of like trying to crush bone, even as fragile bones as the snakes are. You're trying to crush bone under your knees as you are prone in a mattress. So it's going to take a little bit. You're basically going to have to lean over and put all your weight and kind of grind it down. It's going to take a few minutes. So no,
I'll
I'm
do it to
not
that
going to
snake.
do that. You have
Snake we
made
did
your
the
choice.
Confederacy.
It was a good idea, though.
Oh,
Can I take a shot?
You want to take a shot at them?
Yeah. Wouldn't necessarily say kneecap, but stop rather than kill. So
I will let you have one shot. Which one is your target? Or are you just doing it in the air?
at a show like this, I don't think a shot in the air would impress people very much. So I think it looks like the pastor is in control. So we'll try and stop him.
Okay.
And that is a 40 under 50.
Okay. You quickly turn and see this happen and decide to take a shot as these guys are exiting. You're pretty sure you hit the pastor. You hear this kind of, ugh, but they continue out the tent and you don't see beyond that. And we will leave that there. Going back to Samuel, and Samuel, I believe, is being has been unwittingly or
transported
voluntarily on a very galloping tour of the fairgrounds. After several minutes, you are able to finally calm the horse down as you it has kind of galloped away to kind of the far one of the far ends of the fairgrounds, the showgrounds, away from all the commotion. You're finally able to gather some control. Where would you like to do?
So I think provided that there's nothing going on around me on this side of the fairgrounds, which I suspect there isn't. I think the only chance that I have of intervening in any meaningful way is, I think I roll spot hidden to see if I can see the priest and this other fellow running away.
Yes.
My spot hidden is not very good, but I think that's the only shot I've got.
Give it a shot.
That will be a 65, which is not a good enough. So I don't.
Well, you do notice that there is, while you don't see a whole lot, you do notice that there are 3 horses that are galloping very quickly out away from the fairgrounds towards the nearest town. One of them seems to have something slung over the front of its saddle, but that's about all you notice as you are headed back towards the tent.
Yeah.
Most
okay, so
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so I'm going to head back to the tent to try and figure out what's going on and see if everybody's okay.
Okay. Most of you see, it's kind of, it's chaos. A lot of the attendees have gotten into their wagons or they're on their horses or however, or just running away from, they're scattering away from the showgrounds. There are several people who are lying on the ground. You hear some moans of pain. A couple of them are shivering. A couple of them are not moving at all. Yeah.
Good.
And there seems to be a few others that are leaning over some of the people and looks like they're trying to help them.
So I'd like to walk up to the one nearest me. That's one of them that's alive anyway. And I think I'll just try and I don't think he's I guess I don't think he saw the snakes. So I don't know if he's 100% clear on exactly what's happening here, but I guess he can see them now. But I'm gonna walk up to the nearest person who is dying. I'm gonna just try and figure out if I have any idea what I'm looking at, what's happening here.
You go up to them and get down off your horse and lean over. One of the first things you notice as you're walking up is the gentleman who is kind of stretched out. His face is going pale and with a little bit of sweat and kind of clammy. His eyes are half open and very glazed over. He appears to be shivering. And you notice a snake that is kind of curled up around the upper part of one of his legs with its fangs deeply sunk in to the thigh near his knee. And it is well stuck in there. It appears to be almost a dark green, but there's gray. It's like a greenish gray. It's almost like swamp dirt color, which is very odd for you. You don't ever remember seeing a snake like this, but then again, you're not an expert. You do notice a small crescent marking on the top of its head.
So I don't think I immediately think of this snake anti-venom that I have in my pocket because I don't think that it's real. I'd like to roll survival or even a cult. I don't really tell me like to try and figure out if I can read anything based on this snake. If there's any information I can get, or if it's just, I mean, I've never seen anything like this before. We don't need to roll for it.
Tell you what, roll me natural world.
Yeah. Right. That would be a success. 31 under 50.
Okay. This definitely is unlike a snake that you've ever seen. Again, the term serpent kind of comes into your mind. You've seen the rattlesnakes, you've come across them when you're traveling around, especially through, with the Midwest and into the Western areas, the Western territories. You have an idea of what to look for. This is the coloring on it doesn't make sense. While it is kind of that dirty kind of greenish gray, it doesn't make sense because snakes tend to naturally, you would think, camouflage. They don't really want to be seen. This thing would stick out like a sore thumb. And that crescent moon on it is that's not a marking that seems normal. It might be your chance, but you're not sure. But it doesn't. There's something unnatural about this thing.
So I'm going to take my knife out of my boots and I'm going to take this snake that's got its fangs. I'm just going to cut the snake's head off so I can take a look at the snake bites. I think after a few moments of looking at it, I go, oh, and I'm digging through my pockets and I pull out this vial of anti-venom where I think there's no way this is, here goes nothing. And I say, and I tell the man, here, take this.
Okay. He doesn't really seem to have, really be fully conscious at this point. Yeah. He's kind of mumbling incoherently. Just from looking at him, that it's almost as if he has an infection or high fever. You've kind of seen this when the white man kind of came through and brought some of his sickness through, and it spread unfortunately through the Native American tribes. That all of the natural medicines that you're aware of don't seem to work. That he is fairly far gone. And you could try the anti-venom on him. It may work, but at where he's at, just physically, you're pretty sure that even if it works, which you're not sold on, and it could be snake oil, but if it does work, it probably wouldn't work on him because he's
All right.
You're pretty sure he's on his way out. He is.
Sorry, Mr. Unnamed NPC. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to go try and find my fellow performers and figure out where they are.
Okay. So you head out, maybe say a quick blessing upon him, and then you take your horse's reins and start to walk through and around those who are on the ground. José Luis.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Most of the people who have not been bit have scattered, and the ones that are left are in various states on the ground and various states of aliveness.
Do we have any of the bandana wearing people still around, or have they all vanished now?
They have gone. You do not see them anywhere.
Did I lose them in the crowd, or did I see which direction they went in?
You heard with the horses and the wagons and everybody leaving, there were 3 horses that were galloping very directly towards the nearest town. That's all you know.
I'm going to make the assumption then that's probably the people that have caused all of this. So I'm going to try and get this snake off my foot first of all. So I'm going to cut the head off of the snake using my Bowie knife. And I'm going to take the snake and the snake's head, and I'm going to wrap it up in my equipment and my outfit so that we've got it for later if we need it. And then I'm going to start taking off towards Feely's so that I can get at least a head start on tracking them and getting after them.
Okay. All right. While you are working on doing this and coming out of the tent and seeing all this, and you see Samuel coming up, walking his horse towards your direction. Samuel, you will see José Luis as he looks over. You can tell he's kind of looking over the scene and trying to figure out. You can see him almost go into scout mode. You've seen him do this before. So you know when he gets like that. Theo, you shoot out as many of the snakes as you can. You're able to kill several. Annie tells you to go find some of the others and see if you can find where the rest of the cast and crew are. And she points out the direction of the main flap of the tent where most of the people went. I'm gonna go back and see. I'm gonna check on the rest of the horses and everything else. You go on out there and check. See if you can who you can find. We need to figure out who the hell did this. This is wrong.
Yes, ma'am.
And she takes off back towards the back flap and goes toward finding probably Wild Bill or Buffalo Bill and the rest of them.
I do as I'm told and go out the front to check on who's still here, who's okay, who needs help.
You see the scene as described before you. You see José Luis and Samuel together. They seem to have found each other. José Luis, and you've seen this as well. José Luis is looking like he is starting to look at the tracks. José Luis, you notice blood spots. After looking around a little bit, you notice blood drips.
I will point this out to the rest of the party. I'll also sort of indicate that it looks like that's the direction that the town's in, I think. So maybe we know where they're heading. Theo, would you be able to write a note for Annie and tell her that we're going to go and look for the people that did this?
I can do that. Most likely I'll run into her because I'm going to take a moment and duck back, grab the horse, grab the rifle, grab some ammunition, rather than just what I had on me in the middle of a show.
I'm going to whistle for my horse, who's quite well trained, so hopefully he'll come trotting over, and I'll check to make sure that I've got all my gear with me, and I'll jump upon the horse and try and start making out towards where the trail is starting.
So I hop on my horse alongside, and as we're moving towards the exit, I say, I saw them headed towards Pilgrim's Hope. 3 of them.
Yeah, it looks like they're heading to town. That's for sure. I'll just grab the buffalo rifle and start looking at trying to load around into it, just in case we manage to catch up on any of them.
Gladstone, you have finally managed to crack this thing open. That took a bit, but you finally did. You smushed this thing's head. And are able to get up. You hear a couple of your fellow cast members conversing just outside of the tent flap, as at this point, the inside of the tent is basically, there's nobody else but you left. And then you notice Theo coming back in through the tent towards your direction.
Theo, what's going on? These damn bastards leaving snakes.
Well, it looks like 3 of the troublemakers headed off, pointing in the general direction. Left a nice trail of blood that should be easy enough to follow. We're going to take off as soon as I let Miss Annie know.
And I just whistle real loudly, Sunday! Come on, girl!
And the horse trots out from the back flap and stands dutifully next to where you are.
I'll mount up and I'm going to wait for Theo now, and then we'll be going off. I'll draw my cavalry saber to just literally saber rattle in the air towards this trail of blood. So I wait for Theo to come back so we can head out together to follow this trail.
If I can find Miss Annie, I talk to her. If I can't, I leave a note and collect my horse and proper armor, proper guns, and go off to meet the rest of them.
Okay. All right. You don't see them anywhere. You don't know where the rest of the cast is gone, where the rest of the crew is gone. No one seems apparent. So you scratch out a quick note, kind of stick it on a nail nearby, near the on one of the main poles for the tent, and grab all your guns and ammo and go back to the rest of the group. It strikes you that you now, with the shot, since you shot the pastor, that's probably where the blood is coming from.
Well, we can hope. Would make sense.
All of you together then back towards the front of the tent on the showgrounds. José Luis, you are able to, after a bit of time and work, pretty sure that thanks to the blood trail, you can now pick out the trail of those horses. The blood splatter, you can tell once the horses took off on a full gallop, the blood splatters are much farther between. But now that you know what you're looking for, you think you could follow that. And as you kind of get it towards the...
It's Feeling is as much a part of my tracking skills as I am. So I'll point it out to my horse and whisper something to him along the lines of, "You know what to do, boy. You follow him. Let's cut him off and let's catch him up."
Okay, Samuel, Jose, Gladstone, all of you have horses. Theo, what are you doing?
Yeah, I've got my horse, got my stuff. I'm joining the group. And
Okay.
radio follow Jose and Felice's noses.
Alrighty. So with Jose in the lead, tracking it all as you leave the perimeter of the showgrounds. Yes, that blood trail, those horse hooves become more and more apparent as the rest of the tracks tend to go in different directions as everyone had probably flee. Anyway, they ran different directions. And it becomes very apparent that the three that were on horseback going full tilt with the occasional blood splatter are headed directly towards the town of Pilgrim's Hope.
Is there anything visible on the trail that we can, other than the blood spots that we can use to guarantee we're on the right track? For example, you said that one of them was possibly carrying somebody, so I would imagine that the tracks that the horses are making for that particular horse are going to be a little bit deeper.
There is. You can definitely tell that one of the horses was probably very well laden, so something heavy, whether it was a person or stuff, you're not sure, but...
Point that out to Samuel because I'm sure that his natural abilities are almost as good as mine at scouting. And I'll shout back to Theo and Robert as well, just to make sure that they're aware.
Okay.
Got to have to duck headed to town. There's nowhere else 50 miles from here.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Samuel. I think it's the only place that they could have gone for, especially if someone's wounded.
All right. As you continue to follow, the tracks become extremely apparent. And about a mile or so in, you are going to come across a sign. It's not that big. It's just a small sign that says Pilgrim's Hope with an arrow, 1 mile, and a few bushes nearby. Could everyone please make me spot hidden rolls?
Mm-hmm. I'm sure these are very normal or remarkable bushes. Because I rolled an 83. So I'd see nothing strange about these bushes.
41 under 53.
17 under 30.
Oh, okay.
And I got 10 under 42.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm a good tracker. I'm not much good at fighting snakes, but I'm a good tracker.
Jose and Gladstone, you two are going to notice this. So as you kind of Jose, you need to kind of slow down for a minute and really kind of pick up and take a look. You notice a large kind of ball of something all mushed together, sticking in one of the shrubs. It looks like it was snagged. Something got snagged and then kind of mushed all together on it. And as you look closer, it looks like snakeskin. But there's a lot of this, and it's complete.
When you say complete, do you mean like a single snake skin, or complete as like
As
covered
in
in snake skin?
unbroken.
Yeah, it's almost unbroken. And there's a lot of it. And as you kind of pull it out from the shrub, and just to kind of get a closer look at it as Gladstone looks over your shoulder, it kind of falls open. The ball kind of unfurls. And you realize it's not a single shape like you would expect from a snake, even an incredibly large one. It unfurls one, and then another limb, and then two more at the bottom. And you realize that this snake skin is in the form of a human. And with that, we are going to take just a quick 5-minute break. So please stay with us, and we shall return and find out exactly what the mystery and danger is in Pilgrim's Hope. We'll be right back.
I'm sure it's nothing.
And as the curtains rise once again on the second half of Pilgrim's Hope, two of our intrepid performers, the soldier, Robert Paul Gladstone, and José Luiz, our Hernandez, our scout, have discovered a human-shaped snake skin, bundled up, snagged onto a couple of bushes. If both of my performers would please roll a d4 for their sand, let's find out how much they lose. I shall leave this in their capable hands.
It's the full 4 for me.
It's just 2 for me.
All right. Well, that kind of makes sense, as Jose, you are the one who is actually touching this thing. So you have... so yes, sanity loss for the two. The other two, Theo and Samuel, you notice as this thing kind of something unfurls, and you hear almost an audible gasp from at least one of your party members, your posse, as they kind of step back a little ways. And Jose, I'm going to guess that you kind of drop this thing.
Well, actually, I'm going to do something incredibly stupid, and I'm going to look to see if there's a crescent marking on this shed snake skin, like an area where it's a little bit thinner maybe, or let's see if there's a crescent marking.
An interesting thought, especially in your madness. No, you're not seeing one offhand. It's almost hard to look at once you realize that it is definitely shed snake skin, but in human form.
I will rapidly drop it and kick it underneath the scrub brush then, just so I don't have to look at it again.
What y'all got up there, boys?
You don't want to know.
It's a human-sized snake skin.
You don't have to make fun of me. She's gonna head on ahead.
What did you just say?
A snake skin the size of a human.
You ain't lying.
Ever hear about anything like that?
My grandfather used to tell me stories of a place like this. They say that Pilgrim's Hope is cursed territory.
Well, maybe
My people, we don't go there.
Yeah, I heard tales of like skinwalkers and other creatures from your people, but I never heard anything like this.
No,
This is
Uh,
yeah.
it's silly. It's silly. But my grandfather used to tell us about the Manitou. It's it's a sort of snake creature. They say that it was driven underground when the lake was dried up. And Pilgrim's Hope, well, when the Pilgrims rolled through, they didn't know when they built their town on this cursed land. But that's just a story. It's just a story.
Yeah, right. It's one of them folk tales, I guess. But,
You didn't think to mention that when we first discussed coming and doing a show here, did you?
Well, I didn't think we were coming to Pilgrim's Hope. You see that ridge line? It's the old lake shore. We're crossing it just now, I think.
I'm gonna start cradling my heavy buffalo rifle a little bit closer.
Okay. The four of you on your horses are continuing forward as you basically are walking and talking. And you start to see small signs kind of pointing you in the direction. And you can tell just over in the distance, buildings are starting to come into view. You notice that on some of the larger rocks and at least one of the signs that kind of points towards Pilgrim's Hope, there are snakes drawn on these areas. Some of them are very crude, almost childlike. Other ones, well, looks like somebody actually really tried to be artistic with some crude artistic implements, but the message seems to be clear. Snakes are definitely a part of Pilgrim's Hope, and that seems to ring a bell. The reason Buffalo Bill had mentioned in passing, and his words kind of come back to you. The reason that the showgrounds were put a few miles away from Pilgrim's Hope is because the town itself was settled and created by a small group of Quakers called the Shakers. That makes sense. And these Shaker communities tended to be, well, very independent in their religious beliefs. Some of them were known for snake handling as part of their church services. And from what you're seeing, these are probably one of those sects that have broken off. Some of them would go kind of, it's almost a little bit less Christianity and a little bit more spiritualism or some combination thereof. But they are known, some of the more extreme sects tend to use snakes in that. The belief being that it's more of a test. Like if you believe, nothing can hurt you. And if by some chance you die because of a snake bite, it is just your time. It's not a judgment against you. You've heard of these, there have been some write-ups in various papers and, small penny papers that have gotten around and a few stories here and there. And when Buffalo Bill set up, he knew that most of these smaller, more extremely religious communities don't tend to take well to shows. They don't dance, they don't, music, all of these things are generally against the religion. And therefore, the showgrounds were put that farther away.
There.
So you're pretty sure that going into this town, you may not get the warmest of welcomes as the buildings start to come into view and take shape. And Steve, if you could put up our map, please.
Sure.
Once we cross over the ridgeline and buildings start to come into the sight, I get a bad feeling in my stomach. I don't believe in these stories, but I can't shake it.
Surrounding the town is a circle of dense woods with trees and shrub, and you can hear the sounds of a river probably somewhere nearby. You are coming in from the east, so the first building you come across as you enter the area appears to be some type of general store. Again, it is small. It's probably one of these where it has a little bit of everything to it. And outside of the store is a young man sweeping along the front porch area. A woman and a little girl, look up as you start to enter the town and quickly, without a word, walk with purpose towards what appear to be a grouping of houses, which are on the western corner there on the map. You see 3 with the roofs of more behind them. To the right of the general store is very obviously a church. It is a clapboard, whitewashed church with over the door in gold letters, Church of the Morning Star is very clearly read. In the center of town is, of course, the town well. It looks a little dilapidated. It has a very small pitched roof with a bucket attached, but it looks to be in not the greatest or strongest of conditions. You do notice just past the church, you see the tips of what probably are a couple of tents. And you hear singing, loud and rhythmic, with joy, but with some undertone that doesn't sit well in your gut. There's almost nobody around, except for the young man who sees you and stops sweeping and goes into the general store. In front of the store, you do notice that there are hitching posts and a trough, looks like for water for the horses.
Gentlemen, so we're sort of just coming into the center of town now and circling up around the well, I think, as we try and decide in which direction we're going to head. But
I'm going to point towards the church and say, wasn't the guy that we were following, wasn't he preaching?
yes,
Is this a coincidence that the main thing in this town is a church?
the main thing in most settler towns is a church, José.
Well, just saying. I was just putting one and one together and coming up with 3.
Where's the singing coming from?
From the church. The doors are closed. The windows are, far as you can tell, are probably open.
Shuttered? Okay.
No, no, the windows. There are windows, and the music which is pure singing. You're not hearing any instruments, but the singing is absolutely coming from the church. And as you listen, the music, it seems to raise and kind of lower. And you almost feel like there's a part of you that kind of wants to almost, move back and forth with it.
Really interesting. So, where are we headed to then?
I'm gonna dismount Felix, and then I'm gonna just drop his rein because he's a well-trained horse, so he knows to just stay wherever his rein is dropped. And I'm gonna walk over towards where the church is. Can I scout all the way around the perimeter of the church to see if there's anything of note, like other entrances and exits, or is there any other way into the church?
Yeah. So you go over and start looking around the church. A couple of things strike you. Above the doorway in the gold letters where it says Church of the Morning Star, is seemingly it's almost ostentatious in its gold gleaming in this midday sun. As you walk around, you notice that around the frame of the doorway, as you pass it, you notice that there are snake designs carved into the doorway. And as you kind of go around and kind of glance in through the window, the glare from the sun makes it a little hard to see all the way in. It's a bit darker inside, but there are definitely several people, and it's not that big of a town. There are several people in there. They are singing and swaying. There are some that, a few of them that are up near the front where a podium is. They have some of those snakes that you see kind of wrapped around their hands, their arms, and they are kind of dancing, almost pounding their feet in that kind of almost trance-like state, dancing with these snakes and calling out. It's almost hypnotizing and terrifying in a way to think, especially after you yourself have been bitten. And if you would roll me con real quick, please.
Yeah, sure. That would be a failure.
Okay. As you are looking through, you start to feel a pain in your gut. That really, that hurts. But you are able to see past these dancing people to a mural on the back wall. You don't see a back door at all, so you're pretty sure that there's just the front door, the one way in or out. But it's the mural that kind of strikes you before the pain really starts to dig in. On the far wall, there is this large snake, and coming out and wrapped around a large bush or shrub that has large, round, red fruit on it. You're pretty sure this wouldn't be an area for apples. You're pretty sure they are pomegranates. And you somehow remember this Bible teaching that once when a Padre came through when you were a child talking about the fruit of that Adam and Eve ate in the garden. Then he insisted it wasn't an apple, it was actually a pomegranate.
Are there any crosses visible? If I make a spot hidden roll, would that allow me to check to see if there are
Go
any?
ahead. Yeah, make a spot hidden for me.
It's a success. It's not a very good success, but it is a success.
It's enough, because the odd thing is, for a church, you don't see a single cross.
Yeah.
I would like to get a little bit of a lay in the land. Like, this place is not very big, so I'd like to just go down the street, around the parson, and just like on my horse, ride through and see if I could see any sign of where this preacher might have headed to while this is happening.
Okay. So you head further into town, and you are able to get the lay of the land. So you notice that there's the general store. There's very much the church. Next to the church is a group of tents, almost in a circle. And beyond that, that's where it becomes obvious that that's where the river is, on the far side of the tents. And that's where the sound of the water is coming from. The grouping of houses, you end up counting 8 of them, and some outhouses. Outhouses in between. Looks like it's just they're there for everybody. But the one house that stands out is a much, much larger, it's whitewashed, clapboard, fairly large. The others are more like log cabin style and are very small and modest. And that, as best you can tell, is the whole town. It barely qualifies as a town, but that is the town of Pilgrim's Hope.
Great. All right, so I rejoin the rest of them.
Okay. While Jose and Samuel are doing this, Theo, what are you doing?
Okay, so 2 questions. Number 1, I'm assuming that the rest of you at some point told me about the whole deal with the doctor. And 2, when he was being led away, did he seem to be coming here too? Is there a chance we could find more anti-venom to help the people back at camp?
You don't really know what happened to the doctor. He was kind of led away by a few people. That's about as much as you saw. The direction away from the fairgrounds would line up with Pilgrim's Hope. But that is unfortunately about as much as you know.
Jeez. I suspect that it was the doctor that was being taken away as the 3rd person on the horse. The one that was the extra
Or he's in on it.
weight on the horse.
He could be in on it. See, they gotta come out here. He sells you the little anti-venom. Then they release the snake. So you go to find the doctor and buy more anti-venom.
It may be, but I don't know. There's just something about it all that just... I mean, this Church of the Morning Star is not... Ain't that the angel that fell?
Yeah, Lucifer.
Yeah. This is all a bit. There ain't.
Why are they
there
making
ain't
a
no
church
crosses.
to Lucifer? Sam, you said something about this
that's-
land being cursed?
And snakes, they ain't they a sign of the devil?
They do like their snakes here.
And as you are talking with each other, the ground, all of you feel this, the ground under the town rumbles under your feet. You feel vibration as the ground shakes just so.
That's not
just for about 5 or 6 seconds, and then all becomes calm again.
What the hell was that?
Last time I felt something like that, it was nearer the west coast.
They get earthquakes out in these parts? That don't seem right.
I never heard of it.
Maybe it's God reclaiming this cursed land from their Satan church.
Now,
Yeah.
now listen. We're here looking for that preacher.
Well, preachers
No.
tend to be in churches.
Well, Jose, did you see him in there?
Well, I saw there were a few people in there. There were several people handling snakes, but I can't say I saw him specifically.
The reason I say that is because...
I can't remember if the blood trail went to the church or if, I mean, I was looking for another way in, but then I got distracted by that weird feeling, and then those snakes and the fruit and the devil icon. You know,
Hear me out. I got an idea. In a military stratagem, like we did to them Johnny Rems, if some of us go in the front, some of us come in the back, I think they call it a pincer maneuver.
yeah, and that's the best way to get yourself shot.
Oh, see, they don't know we're coming. We have the element of surprise.
Now,
We
Robert.
drive them down like we did to Sherman in Georgia.
Whoa. Here. No, I know it's the
do know
Union
what's wrong
Army's
with your
habits
back.
to... I know that the U.S. government is in the habit of shooting innocent civilians, but these people have done nothing to us. We need to find this preacher.
I didn't say we shoot the
And-
civilians, we shoot the preacher. He comes into
Well-
our show, releases a whole bunch of snakes. I had to fart one of them. Now, this is war, Samuel.
I always say that because I see big whitewashed house right over there. And if you're asking me where we find the preacher, I say that he lives in the parsonage.
And can you tell Robert some manners? Because me and Samuel, we don't just want to go in guns blazing.
That's why they don't put you in charge of the military, boys. Theo, back me up here.
Jose, that sharp pain kind of hits your side again for a minute, and you are going to
Visibly
take
free slope.
3 points of damage.
Oh, I will definitely visibly crease it.
Yeah.
I hear you, Bobby, but this is not one of our shows. Got to be careful. Keep your wits about us.
Is there
I
any
think
way
I
that
should
you
go,
can
I should go
sneak in
politely
there?
investigate in that chapel. If I go in there and I see that preacher, I promise on the flag of these United States, he will be the only one I shoot, unless they shoot first.
The singing for a moment swells and gets louder, and the rumbling under your feet starts again. The ground shakes a bit. And then the singing dies down and the shaking stops.
You can't tell me they ain't having some kind of service in there. I promise. I will not put my gun in my hands as I walk in. I promise you that. But if things are weird in there, I'm going to kill that preacher. He tried to kill me.
All right. Listen. Go see what they're up to. I don't want any violence. If we find this preacher, we're going to find out exactly what happened.
And if maybe he gets shot in the kneecap, he gets shot in the kneecap.
As you are all sitting around talking, a couple of probably residents come out from near the tents around the side of the church and stop for just a moment looking at you. Both of them, a woman and a man, have bandanas across the lower part of their face. They quickly start to walk very swiftly towards the front of the church, open the door, slip in, and close it quite resoundingly. For the moment that the door is open, the song that singing and noises from within, there's almost you hear within it almost a wailing of someone or something interspersed, and you swear you almost hear hisses within it, and then the door shuts again, and the best you hear is the rise and fall of the hymns that seem to continue through the air.
I'm gonna go in there. I need y'all to cover me. I'll slowly start walking towards the church with no weapons in hand. I will keep my hands up as I walk. See? Not gonna hurt him. I just want to talk to him.
I follow.
And I'll try to pull open the front door of the church.
Okay. It goes in, not out.
Well,
But
I imagine like Gladstone Fairly pulls it a little bit like, what the hell? Oh, okay.
That can't be up to code.
And I'll peek in.
okay. So as you open the door, ever so slight, the sound, the cacophony from within, there is singing and the voices of undulating in tones. There is hissing going on from some of the from some of the congregation going on. The person up at the front, next to the podium, you recognize him from being in the tent. He's not the preacher that you were expecting, but the older gentleman, his right-hand man that was there, that also seemed to help dump the largest bag of snakes down, and was also the one that seemed to help the preacher out of the tent as they escaped. And he has on, it's some kind of amulet or some kind of symbol on it. And from what you can see through the dancing, the people dancing at the front and stomping and with the snakes in their hands as they call up, you see this amulet is a serpent entwined with some kind of large circular fruit. It looks very similar to what you're seeing on the back wall.
Perhaps a pomegranate?
Perhaps a pomegranate.
Yep.
I mean, that would just be silly if it made that much sense. That's just preposterous. With the hissing, you say there's hissing from the people.
There's some of them are hissing, some of them are singing, some of them are almost like undulating their voice in ways that I just cannot do. It's building this cacophony, and it kind of rises and falls, and some of them are swaying back and forth as they do it. The few that are dancing in the front They speak in, you've heard of this, speaking in tongues as they dance and stomp around the front with these large green snakes, green-gray snakes wrapped up in their arms.
If I make my way around to the side of the church, I think you said there were windows. Can I get a glance in at? Well, Theo's just trying to check things out. Steve is wondering if he can get a look at faces and see if they're human or not.
Excellent. Yay. Okay. Which side of the church are you going? The one on the side near the general store or the side near the tents? There are windows on both sides.
Yeah.
So
I'll go around to the tent side.
okay. So two things strike you. One, when you go around that side, the sun is coming and kind of streaming down just off center from the sky. So it is makes it a little bit harder to see through these windows. But you are able to do so. And let's start with a spot hidden.
Okay, that is a 75 over 53. I do have a good bit of luck, though, so...
Spend the luck. Nothing can ever go wrong when you spend a whole bunch of luck.
I spent 20 on luck. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with my not so good.
Okay. So you have a difficult time. You can't really see. The glare from the sun, unfortunately, is causing seeing through those windows very, very difficult. So you're really not able to make much out. One thing you will notice, though, as you kind of give up and you kind of look around, is when you look over at the tents, you do notice that there seem to be a handful of people walking around. They seem to not really notice you. They seem very intent on things going on in and around the center of the tents. And while you guys are doing that, Samuel and Jose, what are you two doing?
It's really
just...
Sorry. Go on, Samuel.
I was going to say, I think we've just thrown open the doors, have we not?
Well, Gladstone after he figured out which way the door went, was able to open the door, at least one side of the door. Yes.
Right. Well, I'm right behind him. I don't know where Jose is.
Jose's still trying to work out if there's any other way in other than through the front door. I'm trying to see if there's like a door into the sacristy or if there's like a cellar or anything, even a window or something that could kind of shimmy into.
You walk around, just take a full lap around this time, and there do not seem to be any other doors into the church proper. But you do find what looks to be the doors of like a root cellar. So the doors would come up. Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can get in there.
Okay. They are locked, but the lock seems a bit shaky. You think you might be able to jimmy them or kind of break the lock?
The application of the butt of a rifle to possibly finagle the lock.
Yeah, that might be able to convince it to give up the ghost, so to speak.
Strength roll, would that?
Yes, we can go with that.
Okay, so I got a 55 under 60, so that's just enough to make it probably give up the lock.
Okay. The lock is pretty rusted and fairly loose. It looks like has not been kept up in any kind of repair state. So you are able to kind of and be able to finally crack it off and be able to move it, get rid of it. And at that, you feel that the doors would open.
Okay, I'm going to swing one of my legs over into the root cellar and then sit on the edge and have a look down and see if I can see anything.
Okay. As you open the doors and kind of put them off to the side and you take a single step in, what catches your ear over the din of the singing inside of the church itself
It's going to be snakes, isn't it?
is the sound of, but lots of them. You hear, the sound of things moving on each other, maybe skin on skin or something. And then you hear a very weak come from below. And we'll get back to you on that. Samuel, what are you doing?
Welcome, Tom. Robert has just thrown open the door. I'm right behind him. I don't know that Jose is poking around in the cellar. So, Robert, what do you think we just say hello?
I don't hate the idea as long as they're not paying much attention to us.
Oh, no, it's good. I was saying we try and talk to the fellow on the stage, the fellow up front.
Before we do, I have one question for you, Heather. You mentioned there was hissing coming from the congregation.
A couple of them seem to be hissing and undulating their bodies. Yeah, their eyes are closed and it's almost that kind of hypnotic, kind of trance state, religious fervor.
The question I have about the hissing is, does it sound like a person imitating a snake or a snake? And I'm willing to make a listen roll for this if I need to.
Yes, please. An interesting
And that is
observation.
a regular success. I can spend 3 to make it hard if it would help.
Do it. Do it.
I'll do it. Yeah, why not?
Okay. Do it. All right. So with the hard success, you sit there and you listen as you're trying to take in the lay of the land. And the longer that you listen, as your brain meets, focus in on that hissing, which at first you think is maybe just some kind of like worship thing. But the more you listen, the more it sounds like a snake. Like it's uncanny that somehow these human voices are sounding almost exactly like snakes.
I've been making my way around to the other window where hopefully there won't be a glare. This kind of feels like a good moment to possibly get a look at what we're hearing.
Okay, yes. So as you move around to the other side, 2 things. One, there is no glare, so you are able to look into the windows. And in fact, at the angle that you're at, you would now be looking this way towards the faces of the congregation versus the direction which you would see more the back of the heads. Yeah. So that is, I'm not even going to make you roll so that you'll be able to see that way. 2, you also notice that the doors to the root cellar are open and your companion, Jose, is kind of standing there with one foot into the root cellar. Seems to have paused based on and what seems to be listening very intently. You look through the window very quickly and you take a minute and you realize as you're looking, one of the congregants looks almost right at you. You're not sure if they're actually seeing you. They have this kind of far away look to it, you think. Because what you see, their eyes do not look like human eyes. In fact, they look rather almost, you would swear, almost reptilian.
Mm.
And it throws you. Please roll me, San.
Yeah, that's not going to be good. Trying to find sanity on this sheet. Okay, so that is 79 over 65.
And roll me a d4, please.
D4. 3.
Okay, 3 points of sand loss. As the image of two reptilian or snake-like eyes stare deep at you. And then a second face turns and looks at you. And you realize you now have about the attention of about 3 or 4 of these congregants. And they are hissing at you. Gladstone, Brent and Samuel, the hissing starts to get louder. The voices are still singing and undulating and talking, but the hissing seems to be increasing as you notice that some of the congregants have stopped moving and they are looking out a window opposite, the opposite left side of where you are at the door.
I'm making a run for the preacher then. Try to sneak past me. They're all distracted. I think it's a good time to go talk to that man. They seem to be not quite activated in their worshiping.
Jose, what are you doing?
I'm going to just push down all that fear from that snake bite earlier, and I'm just going to go down and see who it is that they've got trapped in this basement. If this is the person they kidnapped, I want to see if I can at least try and get them out or save them.
Okay. So you come down to the stairs and you are on the last stair and you get a look of what you're seeing, because at first you think that the floor may be moving, which is really strange, until you realize as you look at it closely with the light from behind you with the open cellar doors, is you see a chair in the middle of this undulating room with a recognizable man tied to it. A nearby table has a recognizable bag with several bits and pieces scattered around the open bag, including several vials that look very familiar. And you realize that the floor is not moving. It's what's slithering around the floor that is moving.
I need a sanity roll for this. Since
Yes,
I've
you
already
do.
been bitten by
Yes, you
snakes.
do.
Okay, what's the maximum I can lose? I got 98.
Oh. Oh, goodness. You are going to take 5 points of damage, or five points of sanity, excuse me, not damage, sanity. And then I would like for you to roll me a d10.
And
Oh, God.
this is where my good luck always comes in handy in games. Yes, a 10.
A 10. Okay. All right. You look at these writhing murder noodles, and the swarm of them seems so inviting. You want to be part of this. You want to be one of them. You want to be one with them. And you're almost jealous of the person who gets to sit in the center of such glory. And I'm going to leave it there for just a moment. And we're going to go back to Gladstone and to Samuel. Gladstone, you are going to charge in. Please tell me how you are going to speak with this person in charge.
Charge in is such a strong word. I mean this more in the sense of walking with righteous purpose.
Okay.
He is walking in as if he's about to just slap Robert E. Lee across the face. And as he will marches in straight up to the gentleman in the front. Got a word with you, sir.
Oh, who are you? What are you doing here?
Better question, what are you doing here?
We are here to bring worship to those.
Is that why you let out a bunch of snakes?
It is the will. It is the will.
I'm gonna punch him in the teeth.
First, give me a spot roll.
You got it. No, it's a 48 over 30.
Okay, so you don't notice that. All right, so you're gonna punch him in the teeth.
I'm going right for the teeth.
All right, brawl, please.
You got it. That's a fail.
So you go to punch him and miss terribly as one of the snake handlers bumps into you.
Makes sense.
And the snake that the snake handler was holding gets on, basically leaves his hands, and he basically throws it onto around your shoulders. I'm going to give you a dex check. I just want to see if you're going to be able to get out of this.
I have wonderful dex.
Mm.
So you know how a hard success is half the number?
Mhm.
What is it when you double the number? I got a 90 over 45.
And the snake wraps itself around you and bites your neck.
That bastard snake.
The area around that area, part of your neck, you feel the pincers go in, the fangs, the pinching, and that area starts to grow very, very cold. Roll me a con check, please.
Yeah, better con than I do a dex. Yeah, it's a success. That is a regular success.
Okay. You do not immediately double over in pain and vomit, but you are definitely going to hurting. You feel that cold start to spread very, very quickly. Samuel, you see your compatriot walk with purpose directly forward up to this guy. A few words are exchanged, and Gladstone takes a wild swing, missing the older gentleman, who now has a very large grin on his face. As one of the snake handlers then takes the snake that he is holding and places it on Gladstone, and you see it into his neck. What are you doing?
That is a good question. Well, two choices are either to dive in, which is all certainly suicidal, or to go around and find the others, which I guess I'm gonna pull out my rifle and start shooting. Poor Robert.
You're gonna shoot. Wait, you're gonna shoot Robert? Did I get that right?
No. I'm gonna shoot the
okay.
snake handler. The snake handler.
Okay. Go on.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna. Oh,
He's
God,
gonna leave you to suffer.
He's already
suffer.
You coward!
That's not what I said. No. So I guess I'm going to pull out the plains rifle that I have.
Okay.
I'm a pretty good shot with this thing, and I'm gonna point it straight at the big man on stage. And I'm gonna say, "Get away from him! You stand back, or I'll shoot."
The older gentleman up at the front, who Gladstone tried to take a swing of, just laughs. It's almost a hissing, like laugh as he backs up. As the congregation, parts of the congregation closest to the door, all continue to seeing the turn and start to stare at you and hiss. You notice as your eyes flicker real quick, because you need to kind of take in your surroundings to be sure what they're going to do. You notice a lot of very non-human eyes now staring at you as the singing is replaced by hissing as they stare directly at you. Would you please roll sand for me, please? Please, please.
That is a success. 32 under 70.
Okay. You take a point of sand for that, because those eyes are definitely very unnatural.
Mm-hmm. So my convictions are not strong enough to follow Robert in against a congregation. I mean, what would there 40 people in here? 30 people?
There's probably maybe about 25, 26. I mean, it's a very small town.
Yeah, but it is a lot of deadly snakes. So I'm going to bolt around and try and find either José, or I guess I saw José running around the side. So I'm gonna back up, slam the door behind me. I said I was gonna shoot, but I can't bring myself to do it, and I don't think it's a good idea. So I back out, and I'm gonna go run looking for José.
Okay. Theo, let's go back to you real quick for a second. You see all this happen. You see Gladstone come up to the older gentleman at the front. You see him swing and a miss. You see the snake handler put the snake around it, and it hits, sinks its teeth into Gladstone, and you notice that half of the back half of the congregation turn away from the front, looking towards the door, which you notice closes at some point, and then you hear the sound of footsteps coming around your direction.
So what I heard in there was that the preacher took a step back when he was having a weapon pointed at him, which to me suggests that that might give me a clear shot. Butt end of rifle, smash out a bit of the window, then turn it around and take the provided opportunity.
You're going to take a shot. All right. Please go ahead and let's see if you hit. He won't be expecting that. He's kind of got his attention elsewhere.
That is a 20 under 65.
Excellent. You, once again, are able to make a magnificent shot with all of your skills. This time hitting, as you can clearly see, it hit in this man's chest. His eyes go wide, and you see very clearly that those eyes are definitely not human in any way. His mouth goes wide in kind of shock and surprise as he kind of looks around. His white shirt starts to turn red as the blood begins to slowly creep and spread along the shirt from the bullet hole. And he stumbles and falls backwards up against the wall. You don't think you killed him outright, but he is definitely not going anywhere for a while.
Didn't kill him outright yet.
Yeah. At that point, when a shot rings out, Gladstone, everybody hears the shot ring out. The singing stops and the hissing starts from everybody inside. Well, not Gladstone and not this poor guy, but hissing, and it's going louder and louder. The rumbling of under the earth begins again, and this time it is stronger than ever. It shakes and rattles, even the windows you hear. Samuel, Gladstone, and Theo, please make me dex checks, because this time the almost earthquake really seems to kind of shake you up and you're not expecting this.
I fail.
So it's not a fumble, but a fail.
Okay.
Yeah, it was also not technically a fumble, but 97 over 60.
97 over 85. I think the time has finally come to spend some of that luck.
Okay. So for a regular success, you are able to stay on your feet. Anyone who fumbles falls over. Basically, you fall onto your butt. Gladstone, that coldness is spreading very, very, very quickly. The side of your face is starting to feel numb. You are starting to feel this pain, sharp, almost as if someone had shoved a dagger into your chest. It hurts. And you are taking 7 points of damage. As you feel very quickly the poison just seep through your body at an accelerated rate. And as you kind of hit your head as you fall backwards onto the ground. José, the rumbling, this brings joy.
Indeed, yes.
Yes. Forget about what the writhing masses that are down below in the cellar. What lives and slithers through the earth you want to become one with.
Yes. Are there any robes or any vestments or anything down here that I can cast aside my clothing and place the vestments on?
As a matter of fact, there are. You find a robe and a stole. The stole is kind of that green gray, and it has snakes running up and down through it. A couple of them wrapped around pomegranates, and a crescent in about 3 spots, 1 at the neck and 2 at the ends. You feel like, yes, you are ready. You are ready to become one with that which slithers through the earth.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to quickly put on the robes. I'm going to look over at the person tied to the chair, and I'm going to spit at him contemptuously. And then I'm going to just pick up my pistol and my Bowie knife, and I'm going to see if I can walk back up towards the upstairs of the cellar and head towards the doors of the church so I can make a grand entrance.
Well, I think that
Go ahead.
that's that at that point that I come in, because I came looking for him. So I have to imagine that I'm at the top of the stairs here.
So Samuel and Theo, both of you are on that side of the church, and both of you, each of you coming from either side of where the cellar doors are, notice José come up. He is now in these priestly vestments with a look of joy and rapture on his face as it's Jose, you see your two compatriots. You feel compelled to go towards the center of town, near the well, Luiz.
Yeah, I'm going to try and bid the others to follow me as I walk over towards the well. Come on, let's all go. Let's go to the well. There's a promise in the well.
I follow.
Okay.
I'll wave him over with the gun in one hand.
I have a task that is not completed. I'm going to take another shot at the priest inside first, and then see what
Okay.
this is all about.
Okay.
I'm not. It's not entirely clear to me what's happened to Jose, so I'm following Jose to take a look.
Okay. So both of you follow Jose as Jose is guiding you with this look of joy towards the center, very purposely towards the center of town. Theo, go ahead and take your shot.
Okay, that is a 14 under 65.
Okay, you nail this guy right between the eyes, and his last breath escapes from his lips in a long, drawn-out hiss. The shaking of the ground happens again, and it is even closer than before. You think whatever is causing this is getting closer and closer to the surface. Gladstone, you take another 2 points of damage as this poison seeps through. You're not dead yet.
Not
What
that
are
yet,
you
but let me
doing?
make a con roll to see if I can stay up, because that 7 was a major wound.
Yes. Please.
Let's see how he does here. It's 53 under 55. He's still standing.
Well, you're still alive. You're not unalived yet.
I only have a couple of hit points left, but he's gonna draw his cavalry saber and just start swinging at these psychotic snake people.
They have started to you overhear a second shot, and as you look up, you see the blood running down the side of the face of the gentleman that you tried to punch with a very, very clear shot between the eyes. He is definitely no longer a factor in this story. And the others have opened up the church doors and are starting to stream out into the center of town.
I will still draw the sword, given how much pain this venom has caused him. I imagine there's a bit of a delirium going on.
Probably. You're not in your right mind entirely.
Gladstone's going to chase after them to the best of his abilities. Well, just sing, "Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming." As he's chasing after these people with a cavalry saber. And you mentioned there's like a swelling and coldness in that area. His head's kind of cocked to the side to avoid putting pressure on that area. But he's just singing the battle hymn of the Republic while chasing them out with a cavalry saber.
With a snake hanging off of his neck. Okay.
The snake hanging off of his neck.
As you exit behind the rest of the congregants, and everybody finally comes around from the sides of the church, all of you see the ground right under the well shudder and shake, and you hear cracking of the earth as it begins to break open, and in a massive explosion shoots up dirt and little pebbles and everything flying every which way as the hissing of the congregation is a fever pitch, a true cacophony. José, you join in. You find yourself hissing along with the rest of them as everyone else stares. Steve, if you could please put that last picture up for me.
Yep.
As a massive snake breaks through the ground and hissing and writhing looks down upon the congregants.
Okay. So I am as this happens, I'm slowly backing away as I can see the congregation filing out of the church. And as I I end up backing up into the entrance of the general store, I turn around to notice that my horse is no longer there. Gun in hand as this happens. I assume I'm rolling sanity here.
Yes, would everyone please roll me sanity, except for José, who has already lost.
Totally fine with this.
Totally good with this. This is what this is it.
Yeah. I succeed.
0-8, we're good.
Pass over here.
So
This thing.
everybody who makes it, you are going to take 2 points of sand.
And I start blasting. I just start firing.
So anyway, I start blasting.
Exactly.
And I will say that this picture, I want to give credit where credit is due. This picture I actually did find on DeviantArt. The artist is Scott Purdy, Fey Touch Studios. So I needed to find one that worked for this, and I hope everyone enjoys it. So please go check out the work. Okay, back to the story. So Samuel, you are going to start firing.
Yeah,
What are you
I passed my
doing?
sanity roll, but I'm not sure I have much else in me. Firing wildly at this giant snake.
Okay, we'll get back to you in a second. Theo, what are you doing?
So we established earlier that everybody else's horses are better trained than mine. They all come on a whistle. So I'm assuming that I would have tied mine up, even if some of the others said, "No, they'll be fine." So is it still there?
The horses that were tied up are still part of the trading post. If they were not tied up, they are long gone. The horses that are there are winning and kind of kicking a bit. They are yanking against their reins dangerously. They could very easily hurt themselves. They're panicking.
Yeah. I'm sure Theo would know more about horses than Steve does, but if I think it's possible, I want to untie Mary Todd and hop on as we bolt out of town. But I don't know if that's possible. I don't know.
So just for reference, this snake is probably approximately 12 feet tall. It towers over everything. And almost to prove its dominance is it looks around before you get your shot off, Samuel. It looks around and finds one of the smaller congregants towards the front of the crowd that comes out and surrounds it. And with lightning speed, strikes down and practically swallows this woman whole. She picks it up, and you can see her feet kind of kicking as it and you can see it kind of swallowing its jaw, coming apart as any good snakes would. And it's just gulp, gulp, gulp. And you can see her writhing within it down as it goes down its gullet. Samuel, go ahead and just make me a shot. Just
Sure.
with the C. Jose, you're almost jealous of that woman. That seemed to be that.
So that would be a 02 under 66.
Ooh, okay. Your shot does not go wild. Your shot, as this thing, you can see the writhing mass of this human underneath within its gullet. Your shot goes off and hits that part of its underbelly right near where that writhing mass underneath it in its throat is. And you're pretty sure you put that person out of their potential misery from being swallowed alive as the writhing stops. The snake veers its head back, hissing wildly, and it kind of whips itself around, and then it looks down at you. Gladstone and Theo. Yep, we'll get back to you in just a sec. Gladstone, what are you doing?
So Gladstone has just charged out of this church, singing, seeing this creature burst out of the ground and realizing as he feels that coldness coursing through his whole body, realizing he's not long for this world, but he can do something that would make him a hero. He steals his cavalry saber, looks at it and says, "Glory, glory, hallelujah," and charges at the snake, hoping to just stab it in its underbelly.
Okay. You did see the shot go off and you see it penetrate. And in your mind, you're thinking, if it can bleed, I can kill it.
Kill it. Exactly.
So you start to charge. Jose, you hear your compatriot give his very well-known charge. He does this all the time when he's showing off and charging. And you can't let that happen.
No, I can't. Not at all.
Gladstone starts to charge forward. What do you do?
I level my 45 Peacemaker, aim it square at the charging Gladstone, and pull the trigger.
Okay, so here's what I would like. Chris, I would like you to go ahead and make your shot. And Doc, I would give you a dex check.
I got an extreme success. I got 0-8.
And I failed.
Shout.
The poison takes on your body, the sharp dagger-like pains hitting throughout your organs as you still try to go out in a blaze of glory, as any good soldier would probably want to do, as Jose turns to you in front of you at almost the last minute and shoots. The talent that Jose has, not just with tracking, but with the gun, is very apparent as you almost don't feel the bullet hit and hit into your skull pan and rattles around and comes out the back end, probably saving you from extremely painful death as you are stopped in your tracks. And just for a moment, look into the eyes of your former performer, and then fall over in front in very dramatic fashion, going out in the same way you lived your life, with all the drama you could muster.
Abe, I'm coming.
Theo, you were headed towards the horses.
Should've let me win a race.
You headed towards the horses and undo the reins of poor Mary Todd, and Mary Todd takes off running. But at least you know that she's not going to hurt herself by yanking the bridle and the bit and everything out of her mouth, or hurting her legs. So at least as she takes off, she is safe. Did you want to try to jump on her back and go with her, or are you staying?
If that's remotely possible, yes, but Theo knows more about horses than I do, so it may be something that's just not on the table.
You are trained in both guns and in horses. You're American frontierswoman. That's part of your thing. Horse tricks, the bouncing back and forth and and being able to stand on the back. So yes, you absolutely could try, as you have practiced many times, undoing the reins and jumping up. It will be a little bit difficult. You'll need at least a hard success on your dex check. But you can give that a shot to see if you can jump onto its back.
If I can go out and doing a stunt, that seems about right. So that is a 21 under 85.
Okay, you're very experienced. This is almost old hat. Yes, there's that added because the horse is panicking, but you are able to keep calm under that pressure. And as you release the reins, move very deftly around to the left side of the horse and jump squarely onto her back as the horse takes off and heads out of town at full gallop. Samuel.
Just want you to die.
Samuel.
Your
Your shot has gone off, and your former compatriot, as the light shines in José's eyes with full fanaticism as he shoots. Poor Robert Paul Gladstone, dead on sight. The snake rises and is looking at you very, very intently. What do you do?
I mean, I think the option is either run or fight. My horse is gone, so I think Theo turns to run. Although I don't think it's going to work.
So your horse is gone. But there is the second one that is still, there were two tied up at the...
Okay.
Mary Todd and her rider Theo have gone galloping off. The other one is panicking, but is still, because they are still tied up at the hitching post. So there is that.
So gonna drop the rifle, pull out my knife, and I'm gonna try and calm the horse, cut the hitch, and go dodge.
Okay. As you go ahead and roll me a dex.
Okay.
A dex check. Let's see if you're able to swing yourself onto the horse.
It is a success, a hard success.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, you two, again, very, you have skill. You've been doing this for quite a while. The horse is panicking, but you are able to manage as you take the reins off of poor Sunday, who needs a new owner anyway, and are able to swing up as the horse bolts out of the town at a full gallop. The residents turn and begin to try to chase all of you, but of course on foot versus you on your horses at a full gallop, there's not going to be too much of a contest there. José, you are left in the full rapture of this glorious, glorious creature as the snake turns to you.
Can I take the amulet off so that it's not lost when it tries to eat me? Because I'm happy to be swallowed by this snake, but I don't think that a relic of the order...
How to waste the perfectly good amulet.
Yeah, exactly.
You take the amulet off and hold it up in dramatic fashion, just letting it know, getting its attention as the sunlight glints off of the gold. And then you hand it off to the nearest congregant that you feel it taken from your hands as you open up your arms in welcome of your new glorious God, as the snake strikes down with its mouth gaping open and takes you in and swallows you down. Your last thoughts through the pain of being crushed through the constriction of its innards as it wraps itself within itself to crush you. Feel your bones crushed and the crunch and the squeeze and the squish of your organs being ruptured. You go with a smile on your face as your eyes, once human, flicker and become reptilian for just a fleeting moment. Theo and Samuel, as you go away, you hear sounds of squelching and screams, but almost screams of delight. You hear cackling almost, and you start to smell smoke as you realize that some of the town, the store and the church seem to be on fire. You smell it, and you can start to, if you look back as you ride swiftly away, as far away as you can, you start to see the tendrils of smoke coming up from the town. And it is at that we shall close the curtain once again on the Playhouse. Thank you to my players, and thank you to all of you for being a part of this. Again, I am ValeyGirl Heather. I am found on pretty much most of the socials under ValeyGirl Heather, Heather ValeyGirl, or ValeyGirl Designs. Anything except the big fat X, because absolutely not. Thank you to my players. And again, this was Pilgrim's Hope, written by Jazmin Ospa. Again, it is available on the Miskatonic repository on DriveThruRPG. Please, players, please let everybody know who you are once again and where they can find you.
All right, I'll jump on there first. Why not? I'm Matt Doc Tracy. I just set this up, so feel free to check it out to find me. Linktree.com/DocBones, DocBones. Everything you need to find me is on there. And I'm also on a variety of probably too many Discords in various levels of popping in and out. Usually some variation of the name Doc in there and a pun based on the season.
I'll come to you as we did before, so I'll go next. Chris Bates. I'm usually under Chris Bates, often with an ideas glow tag on most of the Discords. And again, yeah, just wherever there's a Discord, I'm probably to be found.
I am Brendan Lahey. I'm too offline to have social media accounts, but you can always find my Miskatonic repository scenarios. I just released No Witness a couple weeks ago, and The Sins of the Father is perfect for the upcoming Christmas season. Check it out.
Awesome. And I'm Steve. Done wearing my favorite hat, but still wearing a lot of hats here at the Playhouse. You can find me on the socials at Tall Halfling, sometimes Tall Halfling RPG. And on behalf of the Playhouse, thank you so much, Heather. Thank you guys for playing. Yeah. Thank you at home for watching. And as Hedge would say, please watch out for snakes on your way out.